Very nice. So welcome in Candy, strategist, consultant, project manager, social innovator, advocate, founder of Kamai Strategies.
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome. We'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I am super excited to be here and share just a little bit about me and teach you all some things of community engagement. So let me set up my screen here. Mm, let's see. Right. Mm, All right, can you all see that?
I see it. Mhm.
Perfect. Let's see if it'll function properly.
Yep.
Did it change over for you?
Sure did. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So a little bit about me. My name is Candy Isabel. I am the founder and CEO of Kamai Strategies. I am an Afro-Latina and a veteran. Kamai Strategies was founded in 2019, not 2009. We have been around for 5 years and we work with nonprofit organizations and municipalities to center community voice and help them connect to the community that they serve. So closing the gap between, like I said, the communities that they serve and the organizations. I am passionate about advocating for the Latino and the Black community and empowering people to take a hold of their futures and outcomes. So today we're going to be learning about community engagement, the importance of community engagement, building trust and credibility to help, connect with the community that you serve and ultimately help you scale that business that you are looking to grow. Building effective and inclusive engagement strategies, and then we'll have a quick Q&A discussion. So what is community engagement? Can anyone in the chat put in what they feel community engagement is, or how do they define community engagement as a team? Or you doesn't have to be in the chat. If you have anything for that, you can speak up, turn your camera on, unmute. Boots on the ground, yes. Activation and awareness, okay. Any others? Active listening, yes. Providing value to a common group of people, making new friends, building relationships. I love all of these answers. These answers are all correct and are definitely all involved in community engagement. So the official definition of community engagement is a democratic process that involves people, governments, organizations, and everyone is working together to create a sustainable vision for their community's future. So it's based on the idea that everyone is affected by a common issue within that community and that everyone should have a say in the decision-making process to make sure that everyone's needs are being met. So community engagement is not just engaging your customers, but also the community you serve, the potential customers. And we all know that there is more than one type of customer, right? So making sure that when whether it's you're engaging through social media, email marketing, things like that, that you're tailoring things that's going to reach multiple people. So some examples of community engagement, like I said, can be market research surveys, listening sessions, polls, focus groups, things like that. So the benefits for your business with community engagement, the first thing is increased customer loyalty and trust. I cannot say this enough, that trust is a huge factor when it comes to connecting with the community that you serve and people buying into what you're selling, right? If people don't trust who you are, don't understand your character, who you are, they may not purchase your product or engage with your brand. So building personal relationships creates loyalty, making customers more likely to return, which is what we all want, right? The next one is improving brand reputation. So you want to have you want people to have a positive perception of your brand. Your business appears more caring and socially responsible when you engage your community, when you are reaching out for feedback, when you're creating spaces where they're allowed to be honest and frank with you about, what's working and what's not working. And when they see that their voice is being actually implemented in the changes that you're making in your organization. Number 3 is networking and partnerships. Partnerships, as we all know, open doors to anything, right? And so partnerships and collaborations can open the doors to new referrals. And this can lead to things like co-hosted events, shared efforts, joint marketing, things like that. So how engaged do you feel your business currently is with your community? So just a quick poll to see where everyone is at. So if you can put in the chat 1 for not engaged at all, 2 for somewhat engaged, and 3, number 3 is supposed to be very engaged, not engaged. So 1 not engaged, 2 somewhat engaged, and 3 very engaged. 2.5. Okay. 1.5. 2, okay. And it's very common to not see the number 3 or to see an organization that is very engaged. We live in a world where information is being thrown at us all of the time. And so people honestly are confused as to what they want to engage with and, what they feel represents who they are. Ryan, 3, that is awesome. I love that. I am engaging this micro community. Thank you. All right, let's see. Let's move on. So now with building trust and credibility. So these are the 3 main things that you want to focus on when conducting community engagement strategies, or just overall when you're looking to engage with the community that you're serving. So the first one is transparency, open communication, and honesty. This is very big, and this is going to go back right to that trust piece of making sure that the people that you serve trust you, and they can look at you and say, I trust this brand. I know that this is going to get the job done, right? We all have certain brands or certain things in our homes where we are like, 50 different brands of bread exist, but there's this one brand of bread that this is what I consume because this is what I trust that it's going to be the best for what I want it to do. So part of transparency is creating a feedback loop. So how can your customers reach you? Like I said before, we live in a world of constantly putting out information, and we're always, right, being fed information. How have you created a space for your customers to reach you? One of the ways that you can do this to build trust and credibility is to share behind the scenes content. People love to see the realness of what's going on. Sometimes we want things to be very perfect, or we want to share the news when things are ready to be published or things are ready to be live. But you honestly are more likely to get more in return when you're showing the buildup, right? People love to see things being built from the ground up. And if you're showing that behind the scenes before a big launch or something like that, it's gonna build up that trust and credibility. For consistency, so you want regular and reliable interactions. For those of us on social media, we know how important consistency is, right? When we go maybe a week or 2 without posting on social media, it really affects the numbers on engagement for our social media. So you want to remain top of mind for your customers. And this is also important for your branding. Your branding needs to be consistent throughout. If you're posting something on social media and then sending a flyer home or sending an email out, all of those things should be consistent with your brand, not only with its appeal in terms of what it looks like, but also consistent with what your brand represents. So from the language that you're using to what you're taking up as most important should all represent your brand. Just reading the comments here. Love that. I'm a sucker for BTS content. Yes, behind the scenes is the best. +1 for behind the scenes. That content usually gets the most engagement on our socials. Yes, it does. Again, be responsive and proactive. So if you have that engagement, make sure that you're responding to those, whether it's DMs or comments, engaging with the content that your customers are also putting out, so that again, you're kind of like building that authentic relationship. Then, accountability. So taking responsibility for your actions. Accountability is very important. It's okay to mess up, especially for those of you that have product-based businesses. When you do, the most important thing is to recognize it and speak on it. You know, I think we try to be perfectionists and we want things to be as best as they can, because we know that, you know, our businesses are a representation of ourselves or an extension of ourselves. And when we mess up or something doesn't go right, there are times where we want to kind of cover it up or hide, but the best thing to do is to speak on it, share your vulnerability, so that you can gain that trust and vulnerability. Also share your, I'm sorry. So one of the things that I've done is I recognize that in order to build this trust and credibility, I have to have a resource library. And a resource library is a place where your potential customers or your current or existing customers can go and say, you know, they have a place to almost like look you up and see, is it true that you have the knowledge that you say that you do? Is it true that your product works the way that you do? And so social media can be very, very big for this. Since I work with nonprofit organizations and municipalities. So for example, for me, my go-to is LinkedIn. I know that a lot of the leaders of these organizations are on LinkedIn. And so I've tailored my LinkedIn to be a place where I'm sharing my knowledge, or I'm sharing a lot of content on what my business is doing and who we're working with. So that if I meet a potential customer, let's say, for example, at a networking event like this one, I can share my LinkedIn, they'll go on my LinkedIn, and we all do it, right? We all social media stalk each other to see what this person is really about. And when people do that, that's an opportunity for you to prove yourself, to say, I know what I'm talking about. So what are some strategies that you all can employ? Can anyone give me an examples of strategies that you can employ to build trust and credibility within the community that you serve?
I can go, if that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Our company has a value we call give first. And so it's for us to always like share our resources that we can, or be available to founders when we need to be, without any expectation of a return. So we obviously have programs and other products that we offer that, you know, where we have some funding and whatnot, and those types of resources we don't offer freely, but we always come with the mindset of how can we support our community and our founders without always expecting something in return.
Yes, I love that. That is definitely helping to build that authentic relationship. And even if your potential customer doesn't need your product or service right now, if they already have that existing relationship or that trust, you're going to be the first thing they think about when that situation or that specific product comes to mind. Love that. Okay, the next is effective and inclusive engagement strategy. So in order for you to have good engagement, these are some specific strategies that I have employed time and time again for the community, or for the organizations that I work with, to make sure that they're meeting the needs of the community and engaging them effectively. So number one is various forms of outreach. Not everyone is on social media. And so how are you reaching customers from different databases, right? So whether it's social media, mailers, email marketing, text messages, putting posters in businesses, right? A very old school way of things, but depending on your target audience, you want to hone in on where they are and how they communicate, so that you can have that outreach there. Go to where they are. So if you're doing in-person events and things like that, instead of recreating something, go to where they already are. Are there spaces and places that already exist where your community or your audience lives or exists or works, that you can engage with there? Representation is huge. For example, if your target audience is the LGBTQ community, are there people on your team that represent that community? If you're servicing, primarily BIPOC people, are there BIPOC people on your team? It's huge to have someone on your team that looks like the community that you serve, or that, has that lived experience of the community that you serve, so that there is that relatability with your brand. Languages, educational levels, and accessibility, of course, making sure that your things are in multiple languages, that it serves multiple educational levels. That's a big thing. Sometimes we get very caught up in how we write, and then what we write, when we read it to ourselves, it sounds great, but your potential customer might have a fifth grade reading level, right? And then you might have some that have a master's reading level. So how are you tailoring your content, or whatever you're putting out, to reach both of those? Spencer says relatability is something I've seen notice when it's missing. Nice. And so we're kind of at our time. So bringing it all together. So these are the things that we kind of reviewed. One of the biggest or most important things when connecting with your community is understanding what your community represents, where they are, who they are. So I've put together a community persona worksheet for you all. So this community persona will help to visualize the people that you serve as one single person. And if you go through the worksheet, it'll kind of help you to draw out some of that information that you already know, but you might not be thinking of. So it asks questions like, where does your potential customer live? Like, what social media do they use the most? What's their age range? What are their values? What are their priorities? And so once you have all of that completed, it'll give you a really, really good picture of what you need to do next in terms of building that engagement, or building those trusted relationships. So if you scan the worksheet, it'll prompt you, it'll take you to a web page where you just put in your information, and then you'll receive the email with the worksheet for that. So we talked through the importance of community engagement, building trust and credibility, effective and inclusive engagement strategies, and increased resource optimization. All right, Q&A session and discussion. Does anyone have any questions, comments, things they'd like to hear more about?
This was great, Candy. Yeah, so if you've got a question, you can throw it in the chat or just come off mute. And I've got one out of the gate. Just curious about how best to go about connecting with kind of like-minded community builders, and kind of what the Venn diagram should look like as you're looking to partner with people who may also be working in the same space.
I think the biggest thing there is opening up the space with vulnerability, and showing that you're not looking to create competition, and that you're looking to learn from each other, rely on each other, and build each other up. I found that that's the best way to introduce that topic or conversation. I think a lot of people are scared to collaborate or meet up with people that are doing the similar things, because some people are very what's the word? They feel like their customers are theirs, and they don't want anyone to steal their customers, right? And so if you're opening up with, I want to elevate and lift each other up and work together so that we can both scale our organizations, that definitely helps. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Thanks, Taylor.
I had a question. Hi, Candy. Hey, this was great. Thank you so much. And
Yeah.
also appreciate your service as a veteran. Thank you for that. I just wanted to ask a little bit more about Kamai strategies. Is your company, like, do you consult with people about community engagement? Is that part of what you do? Or do you have a more narrow kind of type of service that you guys provide?
Yeah, so we do consult people in organizations and municipalities on community engagement. We do have specific services that we offer. So part of that would be the strategic planning. So for example, if you are an organization that would like to improve your community engagement efforts, then we would come in and do sort of a strategic planning with you, where we would really flesh out that community persona. So taking it from a worksheet into strategic sessions, building out that community persona. And once we have that, then we create a strategic plan for how you can better connect with the community that you serve. So we also offer project management, systems development and improvement, strategic planning, a couple of different things. It's really needs-based, but it's all around centering community voice and making sure that organizations and businesses are connecting to the community that they serve.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Parker had a question. How do you show vulnerability and openness to learn while still trying to show confidence and experience to your customers? That is a great question. I think that when we think of vulnerability, we think of crying, or like these spaces where I think sometimes society has made us believe that vulnerability is bad, or that we shouldn't open up and be honest and open. But the real confidence comes in actually going in and saying, hey, I actually made a mistake today, and this is what I'm doing to prove it, right? You want to show your human side. Your business isn't just what you sell or what you produce or what you serve. It's who you are. And the more that you show your human side, the more that you have these real discussions with your customers, the more loyal they'll become to you and your brand.
Other
Thank you.
questions? Candy, can you walk us through a recent engagement? Well, maybe a different question. Can you share with us how a group went from like 0 to 1? So like they're just getting started, trying to make inroads in a community. They know they have a way they can help the community, and they're just getting started.
Yeah, so if you're just getting started, a good place to start is connecting with those who are connected to that community already. So for example, if you want to serve, let's say you want to serve seniors, right? And you want to develop a program that's going to provide, I don't know, transportation services to seniors. You're going to want to look at who is already serving these seniors, who already has these existing relationships, and meeting with these people one-on-one and saying, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to work with this community, and learning from them because they already have that experience that you are going to be gaining. Learning from them to see how to best engage with those, and maybe asking, can we collaborate on something where, if you're serving seniors, I don't know, food, can I help with the transportation piece? Or while your seniors are being served by your business, can I come in and talk about my services and my offerings? So starting there, also going to where they are. So different, if you're serving youth, then you might want to work with high schools or work with other after school programs. So going to where they are, meeting them where they are, because you have to really establish that relationship first before anyone is going to engage with you and your brand and your services.
Awesome.
Taylor, what are some of the common mistakes you see people or businesses make when trying to connect and build communities? Also, how do you avoid making those mistakes? The most common mistake is people assuming that they only have one kind of customer, or assuming that they have a good understanding of their customer base or audience base without actually doing that research. Even if you have sort of that lived experience, or you are, you are part of the community that you're looking to serve, I always recommend doing some sort of community, market research with the actual community, whether that's like focus groups or putting out surveys to people who already work in that community, or that people that exist in that community, to actually learn what the needs are and where people want to be seen and needed. Common mistakes. How do you avoid making those mistakes? Again, making sure that you're putting yourself out there as much as possible, putting out that vulnerability, building up that resource library, and connecting to people. If you're just starting out, connecting to people that are already serving that community, with that they have that knowledge base, and then conducting that market research, or doing that community persona, so that you're making sure that you're understanding who you're serving.
Candy, I have a question. Oh,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
Spencer.
Go ahead, Kara. Last question.
You talked about providing like surveys or asking questions to understand problems within communities
Mhm.
and really try and understand the space. My question is, what kind of questions are you asking? Um, or what questions or what problems are you looking for to then find a solution, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so that's really based off of what you serve. So tell me, what do you do?
Um, well, so I work here at Summit.
Okay.
I I do market research.
Okay.
So I dive into different communities and try and understand how things are working to then analyze and research the projects that I have.
Mm-hmm. So you're reaching out to community, trying to find the biggest pain points.
Mhm.
Correct. Okay. Um, that is a little different because you're reaching out, you're sort of reaching out to see what the need is, and then you're creating something based off of that need, not kind of like sometimes we have the other way around where we already have something created and then we're reaching out to see if that fits the need. For that, you are reaching out more on to get to know the person, not necessarily what are you struggling with right now, right? Like if I'm opening up a market research survey, I'm probably going to be like, why is this person asking me this? I would approach it more on getting to know that person, and understanding, gathering some of that demographic information. So, are they parents? Are they, like what is their age range? What are, and then you can go into a little bit more detail of, and I'm not sure what your systems or your market research survey looks like, but if it's something automated where, if they fall into a certain category, then you can have some questions auto-populate based off of those answers, so that it can be more detailed into, if I'm a parent, and then you have a question on your survey that asks about raising kids, that doesn't, that'll apply to me. But if it's on there and I'm not a parent, then I'm going to be like, I don't know anything about this. So if I would recommend something that would auto-populate based off of the demographic information that you collect, so that it could really get to the point of what you're trying to gather.
Gotcha. Thank you so much, Candy.
Mm-hmm.
Just an additional on that, Candy. I signed up and got the community persona worksheet that
Mm-hmm.
you said scan for, and you just described that really well. I think that worksheet is a great place to start defining that demographic and describing who your community is. That's a great tool.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely a great tool. I've used it with counties and it's amazing what you learn. You feel that we feel like we have a knowledge base, but once you really take the time to break that down, it really pulls out some of those things that you didn't even realize you could use to connect with the community that you're serving. Are there any tools out there? Are there any tools or software you would suggest using in the market research and other work you described to connect with your community? I don't have any specific software. It depends on what my clients use and if that's going to be beneficial to who they're trying to connect with. We go in first understanding, their target audience. So for example, I have a client where their target audience is Latino immigrants. And so one, there's a language barrier there. Two, there is a barrier for connecting to social media. So any kind of like electronic communications is not going to work. So for that client, what we're doing is we're going in and doing tabling events at the community events that are already taking place. So for example, like Juneteenth and different things like that, there's different celebrations. And so going in and having the client do that tabling. So one, that works for you're showing your face in that community. And so the more you show your face in that community, the more people are going to trust you and say, hey, I've spoken to this person before. And then two, you're getting that one-on-one, that real feedback and that interaction. Tools that can be anything, like I said before, from polls, listening sessions, focus groups, creating community events or going to community events. We've done, where you have sort of like neighborhood ambassadors or community ambassadors. Maybe you already have sort of like an in that community, and you can maybe pay someone to kind of be your almost like walking billboard or kind of like collecting that research for you. Could you share 2 to 3 actionable steps we can take today to start building stronger connections within our community? Yes. Step one would be to complete that community persona worksheet. That is really going to help you to identify who you're working with. Step two, once you have that identified, you'll know what is the best way to reach out. So once you have that, let's say, for example, with your community, it's email. So once you have that, then I definitely suggest putting together some sort of market research survey so that you can have a bigger understanding of what the community's pain points are. And then three, going to where they are. So showing your face, sometimes we get stuck behind a screen. It's very important to be out there. Not everyone is on social media. Not everyone is online. So getting out there, showing your face so that people can start to recognize you. When you think of, it's the same thing as building a relationship with anyone else or building a friendship. What are some things that, if you're building up a new friendship, what would that look like? And I think once you take the business aspect out of it and just put in like that human feeling, it'll be really easy to do. Any other questions?
That was great, Candy. Thanks for spending some time with us today.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks,
What's the
Candy.
best? I think you had a slide in there that had contact information. I know you're on LinkedIn.
Yes, I will put it in the chat.
Cool. There we go. Got a email and the social handles. So thanks for coming out. Great discussion. Thanks everyone for the Q&A. And we'll see you all next week.
Thanks,
All right.
Candy. This was awesome.
Yeah, you're
Thanks,
welcome.
Candy.
Thanks.
Have a
Bye.
nice day. Yes.